You're watching Alabama Broadcasters Station of the Year. Coverage you can count on. WAAY 31 Midday News starts now.
A heat advisory expected to happen later today, but in the meantime, it's hot. WAAY 31 meteorologist Carson, Meredith with what you need to know.
The House Select Committee investigating the Capitol riot is about to hold their third public hearing. What today's meeting will focus on.
And 2 Alabamians fighting in Ukraine missing right now. What Russia has to say about that disappearance. And thank you so much for joining us for WAAY 31 Midday News on this Thursday. I'm Chris Tatum.
And I'm Megan Reyna. We got to start with that heat. It is another hot day here in North Alabama. Dangerously hot. We want to get over to WAAY 31 Storm Tracker meteorologist Carson Meredith. Carson?
Yeah, that heat advisory is still in effect until 7 o'clock tonight, guys. And there is a chance we could see that advisory extended into Friday, but that has not happened just yet. Let's show you those temperatures here at 11 o'clock. Many of us, again, hovering in the upper 80s, close to 90 degrees. Last check in Huntsville, it's 87. Now 90 degrees on the dot indicator. 88 this morning in Muscle Shoals and 90 also in Scottsboro. But as has been the case the last several days, it is what it feels like that is really dangerous out there. That heat index now 91 here in Huntsville, 95 in Scottsboro, 89 out in Fort Payne. It feels like 86 in Guntersville, 93 in Decatur, and 92 out in Muscle Shoals. We are dry, blue skies you just saw, clean sweep across the entire WAAY 31 Storm Tracker early warning radar network. If you're heading out for lunch in the next couple of hours, definitely not the best day to be outside yet again. We'll see those temperatures quickly climb into the mid to upper 90s, and there is a small chance, similar to yesterday, for one of those pop-up thunderstorms where you are today. Just a 20% chance a lot of us will stay dry. But let's look ahead to the weekend. The big problem this week has been the humidity. Notice that air you can wear staying with us through Friday, but our next cold front ushers in much drier air just in time for the weekend, and it will still be warm this weekend, but not humid. We'll talk more about that weekend forecast as well as rain chances in a few minutes. All
right. Well, you know what? I'm glad it's at least not going to be humid. Carson, thank you so much. Well, this week's extreme heat, though, is keeping paramedics busy. Now, first responders say they've seen an increase in heat-related calls since Monday. Most of the calls are coming in during the late afternoon when the heat is most intense.
That's, people have been out exposed to it all day, and then all of a sudden they, start winding the day up, or they get home and they're just not feeling any better, and it just, compounds itself to where they have to call 911.
Leaders with HIMSA say you need to stay cool and, of course, hydrated throughout the day. So if you are experiencing any symptoms like dizziness, cramps, nausea, and vomiting, that's when you may want to call 911. And the TVA is asking you to limit the amount of electricity you're using as we continue to deal with this heat wave. So especially from noon to 8 today. So in less than an hour, this is when they really need you to maybe cut back on using those big appliances so they can keep the power grid stable, avoid any power outages. We're talking about ovens and washing machines. They also want you to keep that thermostat above 70 degrees. You got to do what you got to do to stay cool, but that's what they're hoping people do voluntarily.
Well, that Michigan plant at the center of that national baby formula shortage shut down again. Abbott Martin leaders say that plant got damaged during severe weather yesterday. They're scrambling right now to make repairs and to clean and sanitize the plant. That plant just reopened a few days ago. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration had shut it down previously after a bacterial outbreak there. Well, just in time, the White House says 44,000 pounds of baby formula will arrive in the U.S. today from Europe. It says that formula will go to hospitals and to people who get WIC benefits. Well, the House Select Committee investigating the Capitol riot holding its third public hearing today to release more of its findings.
ABC's Jay O'Brien has more as the committee is expected to focus on former Vice President Mike Pence and how he may have been pressured into rejecting the results of the 2020 election.
In the third public hearing revealing their findings, the House Select Committee investigating the deadly Capitol attack now expected to highlight how former President Donald Trump pressured Vice President Mike Pence to block the certification of the 2020 election.
Mike Pence is going to have to come through for us.
President Trump had no factual basis for what he was doing, and he had been told it was illegal.
Pence refusing Trump's repeated requests, even as rioters stormed the Capitol. ABC News has obtained these exclusive photos of Pence huddled with his family as the mob moves through the Capitol. Second Lady Karen Pence pulling the curtains closed, concerned rioters could see them. Later, after Congress certified President Joe Biden's Electoral College victory, Pence defiant.
To those who wreaked havoc in our Capitol today, you did not win.
And ahead of today's hearing, new questions about this video, which the committee says shows Representative Barry Loudermilk giving a tour of the Capitol the day before the attack and when the Capitol was closed to the public. The committee saying some participants appear to be taking pictures not of statues or landmarks, but of stairwells and security checkpoints. Before the video was released, Capitol Police telling the committee there were no reconnaissance tours before the insurrection. But committee members say one of the participants later marched to the Capitol and made threats against members of Congress. Loudermilk denying any wrongdoing. Vice President Pence isn't addressing the committee himself today, but we do expect to hear from his former chief counsel and a retired and highly respected federal judge. Both advised Pence that Trump's request that he block the certification of the election was illegal. Jay O'Brien, ABC News, the Capitol.
All right, well, thank you so much for that report. New at midday, the fire chief in Athens resigning. The city confirms Al Hogan stepping down from that position. Mayor Ronnie Mark says that resignation is effective at the end of July. We do not yet know why he is stepping down, but are working to learn more about that.
Well, the Federal Reserve taking aggressive action to help tame inflation. So for the first time in close to 3 decades, the Feds raised interest rates by 0.75 percentage point. The move comes after May's hotter than expected inflation report and Wall Street's growing call for tougher action. Still, economists are worried.
I think a recession is possible. Economists are very bad at predicting recessions, but I think the Fed has a decent chance, a reasonable chance of achieving what Jay Powell calls a softish landing, either no recession or a very mild recession.
Financial experts say higher interest rates will be felt when it comes to borrowing. So, of course, that includes interest on credit cards, mortgages, and car loans.
Well, President Biden right now asking oil companies to do more to ease the pain at the pump. He sent a letter to them asking them to ramp up production and says he'll use his presidential power to demand they produce more oil if they don't do it voluntarily.
We're asking them to be in this era where we're on a war footing to consider increasing supply.
Well, the president plans to visit Saudi Arabia next month, one of the world's biggest oil producers. He plans to talk to them about importing more oil from their country.
Well, new at midday, the Labor Department reports fewer Americans applied for unemployment last week. So about 229,000 people applied for jobless benefits. That's down about 3,000 from the week before. First-time applications generally represent the number of layoffs. Well, you can find a job at a job fair in Huntsville right now. This 106 Jefferson Boutique Hotel is looking to fill several positions. It actually will start at 1. It'll go until 5 in the Century Ballroom. The 115-room hotel opened up last year as part of the Curio Collection by Hilton. And it's definitely a nice spot downtown.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, brand new at midday, a Russian government leader insists he knows nothing about the 2 Alabamians who disappeared while helping Ukraine fight off Russia.
But he did not rule out Russia might have captured them. U.S. military veterans Andy Taiwan from Hartselle and Alexander Druk from Tuscaloosa volunteered to join Ukraine's resistance against Russia's invasion earlier this year. Congressman Robert Aderholt confirmed several U.S. lawmakers are right now looking into what happened to those 2 men. Their families say they most recently had been fighting near Ukraine's border with Russia.
And I know that he would really want me to stay strong, especially I'm trying to stay strong for him, to try and get this word out and try and get him back home. But I'm not going to lie and say it's not been really, really hard.
Well, if it turns out those men are captured by Russian forces, the U.S. says it will work to free them. Well, the White House is expected to announce a new $1 billion security package to go to Ukraine. That package would include new coastal defense system and more ammunition for those resistance fighters. U.S. security leaders say the war in Ukraine is right now at a critical point.
America's youngest age group now one step closer to getting vaccinated against COVID-19.
What needs to be done next before kids as young as 6 months old can get those shots?
Now 89 degrees here in Hudson. We have crystal clear blue skies for now, but there is a small chance for a storm today and a better chance tomorrow. I'll walk you through future radar coming up.
Coverage you can count on. You're watching WAAY 31 Morning News with Megan Reyna, Chris Tatum, meteorologist Carson Meredith, and the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
Kids under 5 are closer than ever to being eligible for a COVID shot. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration panel recommended approving both the Pfizer and Moderna shots for those kids. Now the FDA leaders and the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention must sign off on that recommendation before kids can start rolling up their sleeves. The CDC is scheduled to meet Saturday to discuss it. Well, here's a look at the COVID-19 cases in our state. The Alabama Department of Public Health says the state's positivity rate is nearing 20%. There are also more than 250 COVID patients in hospitals across the state. One of the top health leaders in the country, Dr. Anthony Fauci, is COVID positive. The director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases is vaccinated and fully boosted. The institute says he's experiencing mild symptoms right now and is isolated and will stay isolated until he fully recovers.
Well, it appears self-driving cars still have some kinks to work out before they're fully road ready. The National Transportation Safety Board right now investigating more than 350 crashes that involve self-driving Teslas. It says all those crashes happened in the past 9 months, that 6 of them were deadly, and that another 5 left people seriously hurt. And U.S. automaker Ford is recalling more than 2 million cars and SUVs it says may roll even when in park. That includes the Ford Escape, the C-Max, the Fusion, and the Transit Connect models. U.S. safety leaders say some people have gotten hurt when these cars jumped out of park and rolled. Well, it appears social media giant Facebook is stepping up how it competes with fellow social app TikTok.
Oh, well, a leaked Facebook internal memo shows company leaders plan to promote short videos on its main feed, so it plans to combine Facebook and Facebook Messenger into one app. They hope that this will help Facebook better attract younger people who right now prefer TikTok. I just did a little TikTok move there. You didn't see it though. YouTube may be catching up to TikTok when it comes to short videos. Parent company Alphabet says 1.5 billion people are now watching YouTube Shorts every month. That's about on par with estimates for the size of TikTok's audience. I still prefer TikTok. I like YouTube for longer videos, TikTok for the short stuff. What about you, Chris?
I couldn't care less.
You like Facebook. Let's be honest.
I do like Facebook.
You go Facebook Live and show your roses.
You start making it too TikTok savvy, I might back out.
Well, people will soon be able to talk to their washing machine.
Here's the thing, new technology means it'll actually listen. So General Electric launching a new voice-activated top-load washer. It has built-in Amazon Alexa technology, so it can actually, you can tell it when to start that load of laundry. Now, GE says that washer will also dispense detergent and bleach and even save water. By the way, you can get a matching dryer, but, well, you can talk all day to the dryer. It ain't gonna hear a thing you say.
Well, I just think that's promoting laziness. It's just good, you know?
Well, I mean...
Still have to put the clothes in there, I guess. All right, cleanup is underway after disastrous flooding in Yellowstone National Park.
Yeah, why flooding is only expected to get worse there.
Welcome back, everyone. River levels in Montana and Wyoming are expected to rise over the weekend. The National Weather Service says warm air will blanket the mountains in those states tonight, keeping temperatures above freezing. That, as well as a sunny condition, will result in snow melt, which will boost river levels, including Yellowstone River and Yellowstone National Park. Well, massive flooding is already causing major misery in Montana.
Yeah, river levels have risen to record highs in Yellowstone National Park. Floodwaters have washed away homes, destroyed bridges, and left a lot of folks stranded.
We started seeing that some of the tables at the campsites were underwater, and that kind of led to a mad scramble to get out of there.
Well, park rangers say parts of that park could be closed for the rest of the summer.
Oh, that looks terrifying, that clip right there. We're not dealing with necessarily that issue here in North Alabama, Chris, but we are dealing.
I was watching that video of those rocks falling. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it is. It's mesmerizing, but it's terrifying. We're thankful we're not dealing with that necessarily. We are dealing with a lot of heat, maybe pop-up storms.
Sorry, I just got lost there. But yeah, Carson, Meredith, to talk about the possibility of those storms and how strong they might be.
Yeah, I got distracted by that video too, guys. Pretty remarkable stuff out west. Here at home, yeah, we do have that small chance for a couple of those pop-ups this afternoon. Really the same story as yesterday. Not everybody will see those storms, but if you do, we could have some gusty winds and heavy rain, just exactly like we saw here in Huntsville yesterday. But as you look at the WAAY 31 Skycam network right now, we've got crystal clear blue skies. I do expect some of those clouds to start to bubble up over the next few hours. Temperatures hovering in the upper 80s to lower 90s. So yes, very, very warm, but not quite as hot compared to this time 24 hours ago. We're dry on the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker early warning radar network, and we still have that heat advisory in effect until 7 o'clock tonight. It's going to be a game time decision from the Weather Service here in Huntsville as to whether or not they extend this heat advisory for another day on Friday. We'll check back often for updates on that, but you get the idea. We'll see those heat index values at or above 105 degrees for the 4th day in a row today. I expect to see some of those feels like temperatures peaking around 108 by 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon. And even once that heat advisory expires, look at 8 o'clock tonight. Still feeling like 98 degrees even as the sun is going down. So we've said it all week long. We'll say it one more time. Stay cool, stay hydrated, and really limit your time outside to about 15 minutes. Then head inside, take a break, and then you can head back out for another 15 minutes or so. UV index, of course, in the extreme category. It's going to be that way for quite some time. That, of course, means you can get a sunburn in about 10 minutes today. But we have some subtle improvements as we head into the weekend. Chores outdoors, if you can, I would hold off on that until Saturday and Sunday. Tomorrow in particular, yes, it will be hot once again. It will still be humid, and we'll have that chance for a few more thunderstorms as a cold front sweeps through. Once that front moves through, the humidity is gone, and we will have a very nice, albeit warm, Father's Day and Juneteenth weekend. Let's go through future radar. This is 8 o'clock this evening. I will say I don't expect the thunderstorm coverage to be this widespread today, but we'll have that chance for a couple of pop-ups. Any storms that do develop, they're gone later on this evening past sunset. Quiet start to your Friday morning, and here comes that cold front. And by 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, right along or just ahead of the front, we'll see those scattered showers and storms. The exact timing of those storms is still a little iffy at this point. Some suggesting in that 2 to 3 o'clock time frame tomorrow afternoon. Other models are slowing down that front, so that would keep the rain chance around later into the evening. We'll fine-tune those details going through the rest of today and tonight. Regardless, those storms are pretty much done past sunset tomorrow night, and that sets the stage for a very nice Father's Day weekend. 91 Saturday, 92 Sunday, so still warm, but not humid. So all in all, a pretty comfortable weekend in June is on the way. Enjoy it while we have it. Look at the 7-day forecast. The heat builds right back in next week. 96 Monday, 98 Tuesday, and next Wednesday, you are reading that right. For the first time in 3 years, we will likely hit 100 degrees for those actual temperatures next week.
All right, Carson, thank you so much. Well, the Auburn Tigers in Omaha.
And we're getting you ready for their first game in the College World Series.
Welcome back, everybody. We have a traffic alert we need to pass along right now. The Huntsville Police Department says traffic on Memorial Parkway at University Drive moving very slow because of power lines that are down in that area. Anybody heading that way should expect slowdowns. Police say please be careful as you drive through that area. They ask even more so that if you can, avoid that area altogether. Happening today, the Rocket City Trash Pandas trying to keep their winning streak going.
Looking to make it 6 in a row. Tonight, the Trash Pandas are honoring trailblazers in baseball. It's Negro League's tribute night. The team will be celebrating some of the greatest black baseball players ever, and first pitch is at 6:35. I believe we were showing video of the Auburn players, not Trash Pandas, so let's get to that story. So Auburn's baseball team is in Omaha, Nebraska, getting ready for the College World Series.
Yeah, the Tigers playing Ole Miss this Saturday. Fans down on the plains, though, as you saw in that video a moment ago, came together yesterday for a big old send-off party. And head coach Butch Thompson says his team is focused and ready to bring home a championship.
You can hear it in the players' voices that I think there's an intention of not getting there. There's an intention of having success and going for it there. And that already makes me feel pretty good before we take off that they're interested in having success and trying to play championship level baseball and thinking about a championship.
Well, the Tigers played their first game against Ole Miss at 6 o'clock Saturday. Our WAAY 31 sports team, by the way, in Omaha. They're there to bring you, of course, the very latest.
Well, I do. Max Cohen is currently driving there right now.
Well, we wish him all the best.
He will be in
a safe
Omaha.
trip.
Wishing him a good trip. That's right. All right. Well, in just a few minutes, the first group will tee off in this year's U.S. Open.
Yeah, one golfer from North Alabama looking to make his mark. Huntsville's own Nick Dunlap tees off just after 1 o'clock today in Brookline, Massachusetts. The University of Alabama golfer won the 2021 U.S. Junior Amateur Championship. He joins other AU golfers, Justin Thomas, Davis Riley, and Davis Shore in that tournament.
And Justin Thomas, he just won the PGA Tour Championship.
Well, let's talk about the hardwood now.
All right. The Golden State Warriors trying to finish off the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals. The Warriors only need one more win to clinch that series. Game 6 starts at 8. And guess what? You can watch it right here on WAAY 31. Chris?
Yes, indeed you can. Well, 2 Alabamians are missing after they've helped Ukraine in its fight against Russia. What Russian leaders have to say about their disappearance when we come back.
Coverage you can count on. You're watching WAAY 31 News with the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
Welcome back, everybody. You're right now taking a live look at the Space and Rocket Center. This is, of course, courtesy of our WAAY 31 Sky Camera Network. There is a heat advisory in effect for North Alabama right now. Do be sure to stay hydrated and cool today.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for WAAY 31 Midday News. I'm Megan Reyna.
And I'm Chris Tatum. You can see the man we need to talk to standing right there. Storm Tracker Meteorologist Carson Meredith with what we can expect weather-wise today.
Carson may not be the most popular person right now in North Alabama, but you're
He's
important.
always popular with us.
You're important.
I try my best, but I don't blame anybody if they're mad at me after what has been a very hot week in North Alabama. There's those temperatures right now. Fortunately, if you want to have some good news with this heat, it's not quite as cool now as it was this time yesterday. Nonetheless, it's still 89 here in Huntsville, 90 on the dot in Scottsboro and Fort Payne. The warm spot is Muscle Shoals, where it's 92. Moulton checking in at 89, and it's 86 in Coleman and Gunnersville right now. So let's walk you through the rest of your Thursday, hour by hour, on our WAAY 31 Storm Tracker weather app. Go ahead and download our app. It's completely free on Apple and Android devices, and you can get this forecast and so much more. Our forecast highs, no major changes today, still around 97 degrees. You notice that 20% chance for 1 or 2 of those pop-up storms this afternoon. Very similar to yesterday. If we see any of those storms develop, we could have some gusty winds and very heavy rainfall. We'll keep a close eye on that potential throughout the day. And then as the evening progresses, any of those storms that are around, they fade away. But look how warm those temperatures are. Still 85 at 9 o'clock tonight and hovering around 80 by midnight. Let's walk you through those weather headlines for the next few days. A couple of very hot days still today and tomorrow. Then we have some brief relief this weekend, only for that heat to build back in a bigger way next week. And yes, there is the chance we have triple digits in the forecast next week. I'll show you when in the 7-day in a few minutes.
Brand new at midday, a Russian government leader insists he knows nothing about 2 Alabamians who disappeared while helping Ukraine fight off Russia.
But he did not rule out the possibility Russia might have captured them. Now, U.S. military veterans Andy Tywin from Hartselle and Alexander Druk from Tuscaloosa volunteered to join Ukraine's resistance against Russia's invasion earlier this year. And Congressman Robert Adderholt confirmed several U.S. lawmakers are right now looking into what happened to them. Well, their families say the men most recently had been fighting near Ukraine's border with Russia.
I'm so proud of Alex for being willing to risk his life to help other people he didn't even know. But ultimately, he was risking it for America's safety.
Well, that's one family member. Now, the fiance of the other family member, or the other missing soldier.
The Hartselle man,
yeah,
yes.
also has a lot to say. She says that she is just doing her best to get her fiance back home, asking that people pray that he'll be home soon.
We appreciate any thoughts and prayers about Andy. We just, he went over there to volunteer because he really cares. This had been gnawing at him and really weighing as a heavy burden on his heart for quite a while before he left.
Well, if these 2 were indeed captured by Russian forces, the U.S. says it will work to get them freed. Well, the White House expected to announce a new billion-dollar security package for Ukraine. It would include a new coastal defense system and more ammunition for those resistance fighters. U.S. security leaders say right now that war in Ukraine is at a critical point.
Right now, members of the House committee investigating the January 6th Capitol riot are getting ready for their next public hearing that is scheduled to start in less than 30 minutes. Today's hearing will focus on former Vice President Mike Pence. The committee says former President Donald Trump tried to stop him from certifying the 2020 election results.
I think the public probably is not aware of how close a call this was. The rioters came very close to capturing the vice president, and I think there's very good evidence that they would have done harm to him, perhaps even killed him.
And right after this newscast, ABC will carry the hearing live. The special report is expected to last around 2 hours, so stay with ABC for that full coverage.
Well, that Michigan plant at the center of the national baby formula shortage shut down again. This time, Abbott Martin leaders say they shut that plant down after it got damaged by some severe weather yesterday. They say, scrambling to repair the plant and also clean and sanitize it. That plant just reopened, though, a few days ago. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration had shut it down previously after a bacterial outbreak there. Well, just in time, the White House says 44,000 pounds of baby formula will arrive in the U.S. today from Europe. It says that formula will go to hospitals and to people who get WIC benefits. Well, America's youngest age group now a giant step closer to getting vaccinated against COVID-19.
ABC's Rena Roy has the latest as an FDA advisory panel voted in favor of both Pfizer and Moderna's vaccine for those young kids.
As COVID cases rise in some parts of the country, protection could soon be on the way for America's youngest age group. An FDA advisory panel recommending both Pfizer and Moderna shots for children between 6 months and 5 years old, saying they appear safe and effective despite mild symptoms like irritability and fever.
Does the benefit outweigh the risk of this vaccine? And I think that the evidence is pretty clear.
Pfizer's vaccine, a 3-shot series, is 1/10 the size of the adult dose. The company's early data showed it was 80% effective in preventing symptomatic COVID. Moderna's vaccine, only 2 shots, is a quarter of the size of the adult dose. Early data showed it was about 40 to 50% effective at preventing mild infections. Both vaccines generated antibody levels against the Omicron variant similar to those seen in adults.
We should be paying attention also to the antibody response and how well these vaccines protect against severe illness and hospitalization.
The CDC and FDA are expected to sign off within days. The White House says shots could go into arms as early as Tuesday.
Even though most kids get a mild illness, it's not true for every kid, and it's a much more stressful for a child to be in the hospital than it is for a child to come to a doctor's appointment to get a vaccine.
Moderna says it plans to launch a study in the fall in babies as young as 3 months old. They'll work on finding the right dosage for infants to see what's safest and the most effective. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
The Federal Reserve taking aggressive action to help tame inflation. For the first time in close to 3 decades, the Feds raised interest rates by 0.75 of a percentage point. The move comes after May's hotter than expected inflation report and Wall Street's growing call for tougher action.
I think a recession is possible. Economists are very bad at predicting recessions, but I think the Fed has a decent chance, a reasonable chance of achieving what Jay Powell calls a softish landing, either no recession or a very mild recession.
Financial experts say higher interest rates will be felt when it comes to borrowing. That includes interest on credit cards, mortgages, and car loans. Some of the nation's largest real estate companies are laying off employees because of the interest rate hike. Redfin says it's reducing its workforce by about 8%. The company says demand for its services in May was 17% below expectations.
Well, President Biden is now asking oil companies to do more to ease the pain at the pump. He sent a letter to them asking them to ramp up production and says he'll use his presidential power to demand they produce more oil if they don't do it voluntarily.
We're asking them to be in this era where we're on a war footing to consider increasing supply.
Well, the president plans to visit Saudi Arabia next month to talk about perhaps importing more oil from there. Of course, Saudi Arabia, one of the world's largest oil producers.
Well, some law enforcement leaders in Texas are expected to testify today.
Yeah, where the investigation into the response to the Uvalde school massacre stands right now.
Happening today, a Texas legislative committee will hear testimony from law enforcement after that massacre at Robb Elementary in Uvalde. After opening statements, the hearing will be closed to the public. Families of the victims are still waiting for answers about that response to the mass shooting where, of course, 19 kids and 2 teachers were killed. The man who shot former President Ronald Reagan has been released from court supervision. John Hinckley Jr. tweeted he was free at last. He was found not guilty by reason of insanity for the assassination attempt in 1981. Hinckley was treated at a mental hospital release more than 30 years later in 2016, that is. Reagan suffered a punctured lung during that shooting.
Well, the White House now taking new steps to protect clean drinking water. The Biden administration using $1 billion from the infrastructure law to target chemicals called PFAS. PFAS is good enough for me. Anyway, they are known as forever chemicals since they accumulate and take a long time to break down. States can actually apply for new technical assistance, water quality testing, and new water treatments to clean up the chemicals.
PFAS, PFAS, either way, you do not want those chemicals around.
No, you do not want them. Well, NASA getting ready for another pre-launch test for the Artemis 1 moon rocket.
The wet dress rehearsal is slated to happen Saturday. Other attempts failed due to various leaks that's since been repaired. The test simulates every stage of launch without the rocket leaving the launch pad at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. This week's extreme heat is keeping paramedics busy.
Yes, Lord, I can imagine. Well, the warning signs you need to watch out for. Welcome back, everybody. 11:46 right now, and this week's extreme heat keeping paramedics quite busy.
Yeah, leaders at HIMSI say they've seen an increase in heat-related calls since Monday. Most of the calls are coming in during the late afternoon when it's the most hot.
That's, people have been out exposed to it all day, and then all of a sudden they, start winding the day up, or they get home and they're just not feeling any better, and it just, compounds itself to where they have to call 911.
So they say, of course, stay hydrated so you can stay cool. Now, drink water throughout the day. Also, watch out for any early warning signs that you might be suffering from heat-related illnesses. That includes dizziness, cramps, nausea, and vomiting. And just don't hesitate to call 911 if you do need help. The TVA is asking you, though, to limit the amount of electricity you're using as we continue to deal with this heat wave, especially from in about a few minutes at noon to 8 today. That is when they say especially you need to voluntarily lower that use to keep the power grid stable, avoid any outages. So you could do that maybe by not using large appliances like ovens and washing machines. Well, animals at a shelter in Ohio are okay after the power went out.
Glad to hear that. Well, officials at that shelter were afraid the dogs would suffer without that air conditioning they needed earlier this week. They actually asked the community to donate ice to actually help keep those dogs cool. The donation showed up in droves with more than 260 pounds of ice given to that shelter. So glad to see people step up.
And that's the thing is, like, if you have an outdoor dog, you consider bringing them inside right now because
please bring them in.
That is just, I can't imagine.
Yeah, Carson, we know he loves dogs.
Yes,
so,
I do.
Absolutely, Carson. It is not the day to leave a dog outside.
The heat is just as bad impact-wise on animals, guys, as it is us. So make sure, again, if you have any outdoor pets, bring them in where it's nice and comfortable. And as you look out at Muscle Shoals right now in particular, see that temperature, 92 degrees. We're heading for the upper 90s everywhere this afternoon. We've got crystal clear blue skies, not much cloud cover yet. I do expect some of those fair weather cumulus clouds, though, to bubble up over the next couple of hours as we get closer to that peak high temperature for today. We are dry, as you just saw, of course, on the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network. Great day to be by the pool once again. We're going 97 with that forecast high, feeling more like 108 degrees when you factor in that humidity. And something else I'll also mention, the longer this heat sticks around, the more of a toll it's going to take on our bodies. So you really need to be on guard for some of those heat exhaustion or heat stroke symptoms. for quite some time. This heat's with us for at least the next 7 days. For the Trash Pandas game tonight, they should be able to get 90s baseball in no problem. There is a small chance for an isolated thunderstorm this afternoon across all of North Alabama. Of course, we had that isolated chance yesterday. Just so happened that all the storms were here in Huntsville. We'll see if that happens again today. Just a 20% chance at first pitch at 6:35. Still 93 degrees by first pitch this evening. And then we're down to the upper 70s, or upper 80s, I should say, by the 7th inning tonight. Let's go through future radar. Note the time. This is 8 o'clock this evening. We'll watch to see if any of those thunderstorms get their act together late this afternoon, this evening. I don't expect to be coverage that widespread. Just 1 or 2 storms here and there through the afternoon today. Those storms should fade away past sunset. Quiet start to your Friday morning. And then as our next cold front gets closer tomorrow afternoon, we'll have to watch a bit higher coverage for those showers and storms. This cold front is weak, but with any of those thunderstorms that do develop tomorrow, they could be a bit strong. I'll show you that severe weather outlook in just a second. The exact timing of those storms still a little bit uncertain this morning. It could be during the mid-afternoon hours, say 2 or 3 o'clock, or later in the evening. We'll nail down those times throughout the day today, but we'll see those storms weaken nonetheless once we get past sunset tomorrow night, and that will set the stage for a very comfortable but still warm Father's Day weekend ahead. There is that severe weather outlook, just a level 1 risk on our 1 to 5 scale. Classic summertime storm threat, gusty winds around 50 to 60 miles per hour, very heavy rainfall, and perhaps some quarter-sized hail as well. But as we go through the next 7 to 10 days, we get a bit of a break in the heat and humidity Saturday and Sunday, but we're still in the low 90s. And then next week, you think this week has been hot, it's going to be even hotter next week. 96 Monday, 98 Tuesday, and for the first time since 2019, I think there's a pretty good chance we will hit 100 degrees for those actual temperatures here in Huntsville. And as you look at that 7-day forecast, there's not much rain to talk about to cool us down. Just that chance for a couple of pop-up storms this afternoon, a bit higher coverage for those storms along the cold front tomorrow, and then the heat is on in a big way all the way through next week.
All right, Carson, well, thank you so much. One VHS selling for top dollar at auction.
Ooh, I love Back to the Future. Why this copy of that movie is so valuable to collectors.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, right now, 2 North Alabama parents asking for your help to expand a national scientific breakthrough.
This is pretty remarkable. 8-year-old Cruz Davenport and his 7-year-old sister Paisley from Muscle Shoals are the first siblings in the U.S. to both be diagnosed with SIOD. It's a rare form of dwarfism with an average life expectancy of 9 years. But the parents started the Cruising for a Cure Breakthrough Foundation. It helped create an operation that uses stem cell transplants followed by a kidney transplant from the same parent donor. That way the child's body won't reject the new kidney or need drugs after the transplant. Both of those kiddos had successful transplants.
You know, they were put on this earth for this and to pave ways for big things. And I knew that they were going to provide the breakthrough.
And it appears they have done that.
They have done that, and if you would like to donate to the foundation that's helped make this a reality for other families as well, we have a link to our website, waaytv.com. We're just so happy to see that they are healthy.
Yep, and
they
pray
are happy
for that family as they hope that this all continues to grow and they continue to improve. Yes, indeed. One movie collector now owns a very special VHS copy of Back to the Future after buying at auction for just a little $75,000.
Oh, I wonder why.
Yeah, so it's believed to be the highest sum ever paid for a VHS tape. Lord, I hope so. So Heritage Auction says the VHS was in its original shrink wrap and rated near mint condition by experts. Came from the collection of Back to the Future star Tom Wilson.
Contrary to what some people might believe, I am old enough to know what a VHS is. Just saying. Just saying.
Me too. I think I had it on VHS.
This is a very hot summer, if that qualifies.
I'm telling you, 97 today, 96 tomorrow. A little bit cooler this weekend, and then back to near 100 next week, guys. Stay cool.
VHS, very hot summer.
Very hot summer indeed. Well, y'all stay cool out there. Thanks so much for joining Chris and I.
Next newscast at 4 o'clock this afternoon. We hope you stick around for it. Have a great afternoon.